made with the station that has connections on it, the telephone and the cord around, but I think it's those, so they can be turned on eventually.
Good idea. We'll check into that.
Check it, yeah, but
Yeah.
then, I don't know if they all turn on together or not, but it should be marked as that.
Okay. We'll take a look at
Anyway,
it.
yep.
That's wonderful. Hi, friends. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. We're going to round up people in the gathering space and get started with our special guest, Carol Kuhn, in just a moment. Thank you for your patience.
And how long has it been since you did?
About 3.5 years.
3.5 years?
Yeah, our Irish band shut down when the pandemic hit. On St. Patrick's Day weekend, 2020.
Oh,
We did our last 2 gigs and then that was it.
so you had to dust it off.
I think we're done. He teared was afraid I was going to break into an Irish band, so I respect. I respect. A pub tour.
I'm looking forward to listening all about you.
Well, thank you. I don't know
Go
how.
to Sunday school.
It's good to be there. It really helps slow down. Is that right? The Titans? Tennessee Titans? I had no idea. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. There you go. Oh, empty settle. See what happens next week.
I try to make my life a little easier. They will love it. Good. You're interesting. Look at that, guys.
How are you, Carol?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Amy.
This is Carol Kuhn. Most of you know her. Say good morning to Carol, please.
Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, everyone.
Carol, we are live, and so we have some friends who are participating, so the
Okay.
camera's right over there.
Okay.
So good morning to our friends who are participating through the internet, the magic of the internet. So Carol, I'm super excited because this is not the original date that we planned to speak. I still have the original date on my paper, and that was October the 1st. Yeah, but you got COVID.
Yep.
And you were not able to do that. So we're very grateful that you recovered.
It wasn't that bad this time, so
Okay, good.
I'm thankful for that.
Well, we are thankful for that too. So this is try two, and we are here, and we're going to get started. So let's start with the early questions. Where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
I grew up in Boone County, West Virginia, And I'm the oldest of 6 children, 5 girls and 1 boy. And of course, my brother was the darling of everybody because, and he's the only boy. And he was named after my father, but he went by Junior when he was little and JR as an adult. And my sisters were incredible. The baby sister was the cutest thing ever. She was teeny tiny and had blonde hair and blue eyes, and she looked and acted an awful lot like Goldie Hawn when she got in her teenage years. So she was just, I think, the favorite of everybody in the family.
So with your family, tell us a little about your faith background. Were you introduced to faith as a child? Did that come later?
No, as a child, my grandmother, who just lived 4 houses down the road from me, used to go to this pretty little white, beautiful little Methodist church fairly close to where we lived, and so I would go to church with her, and that was a Methodist church, and I just always went, with her. And then as a teenager, my father became really, really religious, which is funny because one time a guy said, with 5 girls and 1 boy, I would get religion too, But he was very, very serious about his religion, but he liked the Baptist church. And so as a teenager, then we went to a Baptist church. And my sister and I, along with the minister's daughter, played piano at the little church. It was just a little country church, and so I love Baptist music, but I prefer the Methodist mythology.
I can hear that. I can see that. And it's wonderful that you bring that background of playing at a fairly young age, right? And so you bring that into your understanding of faith. Is there any particular experience or experiences that you would say were formational or foundational to your faith?
Oh,
now?
yes. Our little Methodist church, they always had Bible school in the summer, and we always went, my sister and I, and we decided we wanted to be Christians, and so, we became Christians during our Bible school, and our minister, Reverend Kennedy, was the sweetest, kindest man, and my sister and I actually wanted to be baptized in the creek that ran real close to the church, just walking distance from the church. And that was the most incredible experience I've ever had, actually being immersed. And, we were young, but we knew exactly what we were doing. Yeah.
It's a beautiful story. That's a beautiful story. Anything else? That's pretty foundational. Is there anything else you would add to that?
Well, my father was a huge influence because he was so serious about trying to be a good Christian man. Sometimes maybe he was a little bit fanatical, with things, very strict and that sort of thing. But then my mother was the kind of balancing equation in that. If she thought things were getting a little bit too strict, she would talk with Daddy, and
she was the grace.
She was yeah.
Oh, that's great. So, can you tell us a little bit about your professional history?
Sure. Whenever I graduated from high school, my parents were not able to let me go on to college at that particular time because work was bad. And my father worked as an electrician at coal mines. West Virginia, their natural resource is coal. And so my father was an electrician for Armco Steel. But sometimes when there would be strikes or whatever, then work would be bad. So I couldn't go to college right away, but thank goodness I had taken, along with my college classes, or my prep classes for college, also secretarial classes. And so I was able to work at my grade school as a secretary, which was really funny for several months. And then I was able to get a job with the prosecuting attorney of our county. And so I worked for him and the assistant prosecutor for about a year. And that really helped me grow up because I saw lots of different things, in that office. And my uncle was the sheriff, of the county. And so I grew up quite a lot during that year.
And eventually, did you go to college?
Yes. I didn't finish. I only have an associate degree. But Bill and I were married in 1968, a couple years after he and I started dating. He was still in college at the time, and because he went for 5 years, he was an engineer. But after we were married, then I went to Marshall University. That's where he had gone. And right out of college, he went to work for International Nickel Company there in Huntington. And so I was able to go to Marshall University as a married student. So my college experience was a little different than it would have been had I not been married. But I did that for 2 years, but then I had our first child, Renee, and then I didn't work or go back to school until both my children were like in elementary school. Then I started taking classes in Illinois at Rock Valley College.
So you've told us about your first family, and you've mentioned Bill and the 2 kids. Tell us about your kiddos, because they're grown now.
Yeah, they're grown. Yeah. My daughter's 52, and both the kids grew up in Illinois. They were both born in West Virginia, in Huntington, West Virginia. But Renee was not quite 4, and Mike was 10 days old when we moved to Rockford, Illinois.
10 days old.
10 days
I
old.
can't imagine moving with a 10-day-old. Oh, my goodness.
Young and stupid, you just do it, And so both the kids actually grew up in Illinois, Rockford, Illinois, and my son is still there, but we had also moved, because of Bill's job, to Chihuahua, Mexico, Chihuahua, and El Paso. But Renee was in college, and Mike had just graduated high school, so Chihuahua didn't have any bilingual high schools at that time. So we did a Tex-Mex thing with our son and I in El Paso, Bill in Chihuahua, Renee's in Illinois.
Wow.
Yeah. So we did that for a while. So Mike actually did his high school and college in El Paso.
So when did you all move to El Paso and Chihuahua?
1990 to 96.
And have you been in this area ever since?
No. After he built a plant for his company in Chihuahua, and originally he was not going to be the plant manager because of our son's age. And they hired someone else, and at like 2 months before the plant was finished, the guy backed out.
Oh, no.
And so that's how we ended up coming out here. But after 6 years, then he came out of Mexico, and we moved to Wichita Falls, Texas, for the same company but a different plant for a couple of years. And then after that, we ended up moving back to Illinois, and Bill worked for a different company after working for Warner Electric Brake and Clutch for 20 years in Wisconsin. We lived on the Illinois side, but he actually worked in Janesville, Wisconsin.
Wow, okay.
So we did that until 15 years ago. We moved here.
So what brought you back here?
We retired.
And this was the place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we just fell in love with the Southwest when we were in El Paso and Chihuahua. We loved the multicultural. We loved the climate. I mean, 23 years in Illinois, winter is enough. And so when we went back to Illinois from here, we decided when we retire, we're going back to the Southwest. Yeah. And we love it, absolutely love it.
Well, I'm really glad that you did. So how did you find Morningstar?
Well, we had retired, and but we hadn't decided exactly where to move. So we rented a house in Phoenix, in Tucson, for a month. And on the way back, we drove, and we were visiting friends in El Paso, and we're telling her that we were thinking about moving back to this area. or the Southwest, someplace. And she said, you need to look at Las Cruces, you know. And I said, oh, when we lived here before, we only went, it's tiny, you know. We only went there for the wine festival or the, what was the other thing that would, well, I forgot exactly what the other thing was. 2 things that we would come out here for. Old Mesilla, of course.
Oh, Old Mesilla, yeah.
When we were there. And she said, no, it's grown, and you'll be shocked. There's this whole new area there. And so we came out here, and we're like, wow, this is different. And so when we went back, we were living in in Iowa at that time, and we decided that maybe we'll try to rent a house out here in Las Cruces for a month to see if we really like it, because it's so much smaller. And we did. And while we were here, I came down the street out here to go to Walmart one day, and I saw the sign for this church. And I pulled in the driveway and checked out the service times. And so for that month that I was here, I came to this church. Nice. And for me, I was so comfortable in the church, and the people were so inviting. And I kind of took that as a sign that, yes, we would be happy living in this area. And that's why we came back. And we love it.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. So how many years ago was that now?
We've been here 15 years
15.
now.
I thought that's what you said. Okay. And so you talked about what drew you to Morning Star. Talk a little bit now about why you stay and how you've been involved over the years.
I stay because of the people and of the ministers that have been here during this 15 years. I've always, like I said, from the time I was little, I've always felt comfortable in a Methodist church, in the Methodist services, you know, and things. But it's the people of the church and the ministers that drew me in and that keep me here, for sure, you know.
And you have served in many different ways. You are, in January, going to begin serving on the board. I'm really excited about that. But that's not your first area of service. Tell us a little bit more about different ways that you've contributed.
Oh, I don't know that I've really contributed a lot. I mean, I just try to do whatever I'm asked, you know, if I can, you know. Pardon me?
Yeah, I was going to say, especially in the area of congregational care, you have been very involved. That may seem like behind-the-scenes work, but you served as a Stephen minister. Yeah. You help with the funeral meals that we have. You're available to help people as they are in need of care in our congregation. That's really important.
Well, the Stephen ministry was awesome. And I'm telling you, these two right there, Margaret and
Vern, yeah.
Yes, they mean so much to me because they were our Stephen ministers. And actually, Stephen ministry is probably the most important thing I've done in my Christian life. I mean, it just opened up my eyes and helped me, honestly, I think helped me be a better person, truly.
Yeah. So for those who are not familiar with what Stephen ministry is, could you just tell us a little bit about your experience? What is Stephen ministry?
That's kind of a little bit hard to do. I mean, basically, you try to help other people with wherever they are in their life at that time or whatever problems that they might be having. You don't try to solve their problems for them. You try to just be with them and listen to them and talk to them and support them however you can. You know, and basically it's just trying to be a friend and to listen and give support.
It's a wonderful program. The Stephen Ministry program is wonderful. We do not have a formal Stephen Ministry program at Morning Star right now, but we have several people like yourself who have been trained and still use that training in a variety of ways. And who knows, there might be another opportunity for us to restart that at some point. But many members of our congregational care team now have Stephen Ministry training, and it's really good training.
It's very
it really
good
is good training. You learn that it's more important to be present than to say
Yes.
anything, right? And
Yes, yeah.
that's hard because we often want to fill in the gaps.
We want to tell them, okay, you should do this, you should do that. That's not what a Stephen minister does. You ask questions to help them decide what it is that they need to do or what kind of help they need.
And you don't offer things that we often say to try to help people feel better, but may not be the best, like this was God's will, or
Right.
there has to be a purpose. You just let it sit. And so one of the wonderful things that I have found in a congregation full of people who have been trained that way, even if we don't have that formal ministry, is that you bring that training to so many different areas of our life together. So that's really important in the ways that we serve. So
And it helped me just as much as as if maybe I helped someone else. It was very helpful to my life to go through that journey.
that's beautiful. And I'm really excited about your service on the board, Carol. I think we're going to do some really fun things. So why did you say yes to that opportunity? What do you hope to bring to and get from the experience of serving on the board?
Well, I said yes because you asked me, for one thing, and I really, and that's right, because I would like to try to help you and the congregation. I don't particularly feel like I'm qualified to do this, but I am willing to try to do whatever is necessary to help our congregation grow. Like, I had not been to the first service for a very long time until this morning, and I was so pleased to see so many people, because in our third service, well, now our second service, I guess this is the second service, but we don't have as many people, and I would just love to figure out some way for us to grow that second service. We really need to do that.
Yeah, so we have a balance on the board of people who attend different services and serve in different ways and have different experiences. And so we have a really great team, and it's all going to fit together really well. So I'm glad that you said yes. I'm glad that you said yes.
I'll try my best.
Oh, it's going to be great. And so actually in January, in the middle of January, toward the end of January, it's a 5-Sunday month, we will introduce the new board. We'll say thank you to the people who are rolling off and welcome the people who are coming on, so you all can see faces and names. And our lay leader, Ann Necessary, will be a part of that. So that's going to be a great thing. I promise I'll give you a heads up. I'm working on the email with all those details right now. So is there any question that you wish I had asked? Anything else you want to add before we open it up?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, what comments or questions do you have for Carol? Mike, and I'll repeat the question so everyone can hear.
So Carol, Roz and I met you and your daughter early in the year in January at Grief Share. And my question is, could you say in a sentence or two what that experience is for you?
So
Oh.
he's asking about Grief Share, which is now our grief and loss support group, but it's the same premise, and that's how Mike and Roz and Carol met. So can you share that experience with us?
Yes, I'm not quite sure what I would have done had I not had Grief Share. Truly. I'm sure most of you know that my Bill died last year, December the 3rd, and Grief Share just really, really helped me just be able to talk about how I felt. Didn't matter if I was, thank you, whether I was, of course I was sad all the time, but sometimes angry too. And it really helped to be among other people going through the same sort of thing, and it's okay to realize that it's all right to grieve, that you're allowed to grieve, you're allowed to be upset and angry because you've lost someone that you dearly love. And for me, Grief Share is invaluable, absolutely invaluable. And it was for my daughter as well. I wish my son in Illinois had gone through something like this too. it certainly is not going to bring Bill back, but I could talk about him, and I could celebrate him. And I actually just got back from a women's retreat in Arizona, and it was so incredible because I thought I was doing better, especially after Grief Share, but as it gets closer to December the 3rd when he died, and then his birthday is this Tuesday, I was really feeling bad again, really feeling down. And I think because of Grief Share, it gave me the courage to realize, okay, you're in trouble here again, you need to go do something again. And I did. And of course, I'm still very, very sad, but I know that I need to go forward, and I need to take my children and my granddaughter forward with me. And I've kind of decided that I'm going to try to celebrate Bill more than mourn him from here on. And but Grief Share got me through this past year.
It is really important, and I do want to say we are going to offer a Blue Christmas service on the 22nd of December, and it's going to be different. I really believe there's a need for a space for people who are feeling loss and grief and sadness during this season. And for the last couple of years, we've offered a beautiful service. It just really hasn't been very well attended, and I think part of that is because it's so late in the day. Obviously, the idea is that we're acknowledging the longest night of the year, and that's why it's later in the day. But as of tomorrow, you can read in the newsletter, we're going to offer something different. It's going to be on the 22nd because the 21st is Augie's birthday, and so I always try to do it before or after that. And it will be a come and go service in this space from noon to 7 p.m. And there will be 5 different stations for prayer and reflection and guided meditation, and that you just come in and do as you feel led to do that. And I will be here for prayer as well. And so you can read more about that service. I didn't plan to make a plug here, Carol,
No,
but I
that's
think
fine.
it's really important that people know you did and are doing important work, and it's okay to do that work in the holiday season, and we want to offer that space for people for whatever the loss or grief is, whether it's a death or an estranged relationship or a loss of a job or whatever it is. We will have that, and so read more about that service and share it with other people too, and we'll be sharing with the grief and loss group as well, because it's okay to need that, and we want to be able to offer it.
Yeah, and one more thing about, grief, the Grief Share group, we really need to offer that as a church to people even that don't come here. I've told some of my friends, about it too. And because it is a safe place to say whatever you want, and we need this church to be a safe place for whatever people are going through,
That's right. And Chris does a fabulous job with her team, Chris Fernandez, and does open it up to everyone in the community. So it's not just a Morning Star thing, so
No.
you can share that with your friends as well. And some people have found Morning Star through that process, and that's okay too. That's not why we do it, but it's okay if that happens as well.
Yeah, my friend Mary came with us, and she's Catholic, and so she
There
just
you
loves
go.
this church.
I love it.
Mhm.
Any other final thoughts or questions for Carol Kuhn before we thank her? Yes, Krista.
Can I just say that she's very humble to say that her work as a Stephen minister was, maybe not consequential, because she was my Stephen minister.
Oh. So Carol was Krista's Stephen minister, and so Krista's saying maybe Carol's being a little humble, but that is Carol. Carol is humble. Thank you for making that note.
Krista's my other daughter.
Yes. Oh, and that's what Stephen ministry can do, right? It reminds us that we are brothers and sisters. We're family in Christ. Anything else? Yes, Steve.
Earlier you said that you probably got more out of it on something a bit,
Yeah.
but isn't that part of being a Christian? You're doing
Yes, it definitely does give me back. Yes, but I feel like I've been so blessed my whole life, and I feel like it is my duty to give back to other people. And if I can make anybody else's life happy or easier, even just for a short time, I feel like I need to do that.
That's beautiful, Carol.
Yes, my life is
Wow.
much better.
What a wonderful
Yes.
example of Jesus that is for us, Carol. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Now thank Carol for her time. Yeah. Thank you so much. And our next service will begin in 14 minutes or so. Hi, Dale. Hello. Is that for the, where is it? Is the choir going to sit up here?
No.
That's what I was just asking. Were
No.
they doing that?
No. Yeah.
Okay. You just come up when it's your time. You can sit up there if you need to, though, Dale, if you want to come up early. God, I thought I was going crazy. Grace and peace to you, beloved. No, just trying to check the sound. Joy tingle, joy tingle. Can you hear me okay? Is the sound good? Okay.